Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well. And it's a reviewing your music stream. We're about to review some of your music. We've come on here on our Twitch page, like we do every once in a while, to take some viewer submissions at random. We have very specific rules that we've gone through. Everybody seems to be following them, and that's amazing. That's incredible. But for everyone on YouTube who is watching this, we're going to have links to all the artists that we're talking about in this video down below. So if you dig their stuff, if the descriptions and conversation around their music seems interesting, check them out, follow them, see what they're doing. Because again, everybody who we're talking about is independent. They're throwing their stuff out there. They're trying to get their shit off the ground. So let's hear what we're getting offered on this first track for the evening. We have username Crizzle is here. We've already verified they're in chat. Artist is Malara. La Malara. Okay. And pronouns are he, him. Genre is house. Okay. We're going to start this segment off with a groove. Title is more. So let's get into it. Here we go. Bye-bye.
I'm with you. I'm dying just to get you.
Okay. Again, that was Lamar. I said this, and I can't believe I can't. I think it's like the L and the H and the three A's are like really fucking up my dyslexia right now. La Malara. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why those three A's and the L are just like really like I'm switching. I want to put the R before that. Never mind. I'm not going to tell you how my brain doesn't functionally process letters. So La Lara. Sorry, I'm such a moron. Anyway, there we have more. We have more. Appreciate you very much submitting that track. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you greatly. So thoughts on that? I had quite a few notes. Who's the feature on this track? I mean, I saw that the pronouns were he, him is the featured singer on the track, the person on the cover. Who's the feature on the track? Yeah, that is my brain. That is my brain actually doing that. I apologize. Yeah, I am just a melon. Melons can't read. But who's the featured singer on the track, because it was quite nice. It was good. It was a good vocal on the track. It was a very good vocal on the track. I would say the vocal kind of made the track a little bit. It was a sweet vocal, but it was also like very well layered and placed throughout the song as well. Like the editing and the mixing around the vocals was really clean and really impressive, and just really made the vocals shine for sure. They were sensual. They were sweet. They were really enchanting. The groove was great, good groove, good perk placement. But I guess I think the perks that were chosen on the song were a little plain, and there were some points where mix-wise, especially like those hi-hats, came off a little dry. There were some elements, especially like some of those synth passages that were very atmospheric and kind of brought this greater sense of space around the whole song. But I think maybe some of the perks could have been touched up in that way as well. Generally, though, I thought the song had a great mix, even if some of the sounds going into that mix were a tad bit, on the bland side. And then, once the song really kind of like established itself, we had a really solid vocal performance from the feature on the song too. I think, it's just a 3-minute track. So I'm not going to come out here and say like it dragged. It very much didn't drag. And I kind of liked the subtle, almost like UK type flavor coming off some of the grooves on the song as well. I would say there was almost like a tiny Disclosure vibe going on the track, just a little bit. But once we hit that like synth passage, that very like kind of tinny, like somewhat stiff synth passage, like from then on, it didn't go downhill. it didn't stagnate a whole lot, but past that point, I was thinking like, if it's going to continue, we need like some more significant variation, not like some kind of crazy, insane beat switch up or anything like that. But when you're making dance music, like the trick is always, when you're making something for the dance floor, to make something that sounds like it's constantly different, but also kind of the same. And that means like, rhythmically and aesthetically evolving it in some significant way to, make it sound fresh, even as you're kind of like hitting the 6 and 7 minute mark. You know what I mean? And look, you could lean on some tried and true formulas for that sort of thing, like, builds, drops, that sort of thing. I mean, that shit has been used over and over and over and over again because it works. It works. It's effective. Or you could go more subtle with it, or you could get a little experimental with it. I mean, there's like, no wrong way conceptually to vary things up. But around that point and beyond, I was, sort of thinking like it could use like some variation. We could be getting like a tad bit more ambitious with the structure, I guess. So, there were a lot of, baseline and technical aspects of the song that I thought were good. Again, like the rhythm was good, groove was good, mix was great. Loved what you got out of your guest vocalist here as well. All of those things were impressive and made for a pretty solid listen. But could the structure and, progression of the song be a little greater and a little more interesting? Yes. And could some of the, sound play and the textures and, the percussion, the perks that you chose to work into the track be a little bit more interesting, have a bit more bite as well? Yes. But those are subtle aesthetic changes that, could be made that could lead to big improvements. You're certainly, a lot closer to a truly fire track than you would be if you were someone who didn't know how to fucking mix a song, which you're clearly somebody who has figured out at least that. So, kudos. Kudos. There are a lot of good things about the track, and it looks like a lot of people in chat enjoyed it as well. So, amen. Amen to that. That's all I got to say. So we have our next submissive here with us today. Again, it's the Nait Sirk. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Pronouns are he, him. Genre is hip-hop. The song seems to be titled Burdens. And it's just a minute 44. Maybe it's a banger. Maybe it's a lyrical number. Maybe it's a beat. I guess we're going to see. But again, title is Burdens. Just looking at the greater page over here, just 195 monthly listeners, which is nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not to kind of bang on anybody's level of listeners over here. I'm just saying, you guys could be number 200, if you're digging on this track or anything else that they've got going on, and it looks like he's got quite a bit of material over here on the Spotify page. So there's a bit to dig into if you dig on this one. So. All right, let's give it a listen. Again, Burdens, ba-bam.
People turn their back on you, attacking packs and goals. They don't understand the rest of shit like crack, it's in my soul. I took the package, chocolate coast. Call me over, bring the bow. We fuck up, bring the deal like both.
Okay, cool. Certainly some interesting things about that one. All right, first off, I mean, the beat really hit me. I mean, it had kind of like, like a straightforward loop going on once it established itself. But there's something about like that little plucky guitar line, the subtle lo-fi quality of it, along with the chipmunked vocal samples that to me, it felt like a combination of a beat you'd hear off of like some rap songs and like the new Drake project. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I thought that was actually kind of a cool quality about it. It felt, very lo-fi and a little left field and a little messy, but also had, kind of almost that kind of mainstream soul chop vibe going on that a lot of artists, at that Drake level have been hopping on as of late. So I like that quality about it. I thought it was a cool little instrumental. I thought it was a cool vibe. Very short track. I mean, while these go over very well with a lot of fans of this new wave of abstract hip hop, depressive stuff, more esoteric stuff, along that Earl, Mike, Mavi, Maxo. You guys know the names. You've seen some of the reviews. Navy Blue. You've seen the Alchemist interview. I'm aware of it. You're aware of it. We're all aware of that. But just like from a personal preference, while I have enjoyed albums like this, I do tend to prefer song structure. I do tend to prefer more meat on the bone. You know what I mean? There's certainly like, this is not the wrong way to do it or anything like that. But, it doesn't leave me with a lot to talk about. You know what I mean? And not that me just talking is a value in and of itself, but, depending on what it is that you do and don't want to do, you could have strong structure here. You could not have strong structure here. I guess, ultimately that's up to you, but, it's just kind of a personal preference. And if you're somebody who's like creating music for fun, even as a living, or, that's kind of your ambition, it should be something that is in your toolbox. It should be something that you know how to do and could pull off if you felt like you needed to, or you had to, or if you felt like a certain song required it. But if it's not something that you were, aiming for on this track, then that's totally fine. As far as structure goes, this is, just as good and straightforward and vibey and enjoyable as anything else that's very popular right now, doing this very same exact thing. The one technical thing that I will say, though, is that the vocals mix-wise could come up higher. And it's hard to kind of give a recommendation on this because like I'm not there in the DAW with you looking at whatever the fuck the EQ is, you know what I mean? But just like from the sound of it, I don't know what you did to get it to sound to the point where it does now. But just from like the sound of it alone, it sounds like the vocals could get a little bit more like mid and treble, just a little bit more mid and treble. Just to make them sound a little bit more crisp. And that could, maybe the bass is a little bit too high. Maybe there is a lot of bass response in the signal because of, whatever is like your mic etiquette. Maybe you're like right up against the fucking mic as you're recording or whatever, you know what I mean? You could throw in a pop filter. You could, give the mic some distance from your, the source of audio. Record in a closet so that there's like no fucking, sound reverberation everywhere. You know what I mean? So I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know your recording process. I don't know how you EQ'd it or anything like that. But the vocals could sound a little bit more crisp. And if they did sound a little bit more crisp, they would cut through the mix on this beat a little more nicely. They'd slice right through. As far as the flow and delivery goes, that was interesting. It was definitely a unique aspect to this song. I know I saw a lot of comparisons to artists like Mike and so on and so forth in chat. And, I think aesthetically those parallels are there, but like vocally, I wouldn't mistake you for any of those artists in a heartbeat. I thought that, there was something that was, the flows were like really good and really consistent and varying, every few lines as well. And that was nice. But, I kind of liked this quality of your rapping that it felt like some of the inflections were it was kind of this combination of feeling a little sloppy, but also very expressive. And it brought a lot of, just kind of this over the top kind of character and quality, but also a lot of emotion to what you're doing as well that I liked a lot, that I thought was really good. I thought, there was a lot of personality in your performance on this track, and that, stuck out to me a lot. Vocally, I thought it was pretty standout, and, I'd be curious to hear, more of what you do off of this because I think like delivery-wise, you're definitely like onto something here for sure. So, after this, absolutely, I'm probably going to be trying a track or two more because this piqued my curiosity. And you sound relatively young as well. I don't know if like, you're in your teens or, late teens or early 20s, but, wherever you're at, like you've definitely got like some momentum and creativity going on this. And again, it looks like you've got quite a bit of material out. on your Spotify page already, and you're certainly deserving of more listeners than you have right now. I think that's for fucking sure. So, cool. McFarlane's verifying who's next coming up. Thank you, appreciate it. But yeah, I think outside of like some structural preferences and some vocal mix stuff, I think you have a really interesting piece here, and I think more people got to hear it, got to check it out. Again, the Nait Sirk, check out his Spotify page. Up that number of monthly listeners, please. And he's got a handful of projects over here as well. So looks like this one, this EP, this track off of this EP that he just passed us came out this year. Looks like he dropped another single this year as well. So, he's got some stuff out there. And I'm liking, as somebody in chat already pointed out, I do like the kind of the dystopian and, dark art on these. And there's a pretty consistent color palette going on between the red and the orange and the yellow. So, there's also that. So, shout out to you. Thank you for submitting. All right, here we go. Our next person, username Makeaway. So there you go. I don't know why my mind wanted to throw an A in there. Makeaway HQ. Artist is Meltdown. Pronouns he, him. Genre EDM. Awesome. Thank you. Fantastic. No copyright future. God. I hope so. Or maybe I do. I do think artists should be able to protect their shit, especially independent artists. But, the copyright racket in the music industry is fucking something else. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's a lot of craziness. There's a lot of craziness going on right now with like interpolations. Hey, Logical Edits, thank you. Where they want popular artists to be doing more interpolations to just sort of like, make older songs popular again and so on and so forth. It's pretty nuts. And of course, if that happens and the song pops off, thank you, McFarlane. Publisher gets paid twice, songwriters get paid twice, labels get paid twice. So kind of creates a funny little feedback loop. All right. Okay. All right. Again, Meltdown in my mind. Let's give it a spin, shall we? Let's hear it out. Let's see what's going on.
Nowhere to hide. In my mind, it's brewing. Tucked inside this box. One small light poking.
Okay. All right. Wow. I got a lot to say about that track. There was a lot to take in on that one. A lot of detail. Easily the most detailed track in this segment for sure. I mean, at least as far as like the first verse and like the whole intro of the track goes, great mix. Super vivid, super colorful, super heavy, well balanced, and like a lot of great sound play as well. I mean, I don't know how much of the sounds that you've incorporated here in terms of like patches and stuff like that are crafted by you, entirely original, but just like the sounds are really good. The bass was fantastic. I love those plucky synth layers that you added in as well, and I like that compositionally there was quite a bit going on, but it didn't sound too cluttered. It was like well layered, and the counterpoint wasn't super messy, so it all like rung through really nicely and really clear. The vocal placement was nice. I don't know why the vocals felt like a little. I don't know if it felt like this to anybody else. The vocals felt like a tad bit louder or clearer in the first half than they did in the second half. I don't know if there's, if that was purposeful or if that was just something I'm totally making up in my head. I don't know what exactly, that was kind of like driving that, but, it felt like there was a little bit of a change there, which I guess I'm like, sort of wondering about, but it could be in my mind as, this track is titled over here. Structurally, I thought it was fine. The vocals were really expressive on the front end, though I think they really needed to bring something else to the table in the second half. I feel like the singing and what the vocals were bringing to the table kind of staled out and got a little mild in the second half. And as I was listening to the song further, I guess like I kind of realized I'm really drawn to the sound play on this. I'm really drawn to the grooves. I'm really drawn to like the creative fusion of like some EDM and maybe a little bit of hyperpop in the mix and some wonky as well as dubstep. There's a lot of cool like, glossy sounds flying at me in every direction. They're all like, well mixed and well balanced and everything. But like, the song isn't like really sticking with me. And I think that could be, fixed with like a stronger vocal melody or a stronger vocal performance. You know what I mean? I think it was like certainly fine on the front end, but as we got closer to the finish, I sort of realized maybe I'm a little milder on the vocal than I thought I was originally, One other thing I'll say is that initial drop that you threw in, I mean, it was, great and I think necessary structurally. And I appreciate it being as, kind of out there and sort of experimental as it was. Like it was certainly a very unorthodox drop. It was not like a super obvious drop for sure, a super formulaic one, but there was something about it that felt like a little sloshy or a little muddy to me. I liked what it was going for. The distortion was great. It had a lot of texture. It had a lot of flavor, but it didn't feel maybe as big or as loud as it could have. And, but I think for the most part, it was good. Obviously, everybody in chat enjoyed the hell out of it. But, I think in comparison with everything you were doing so far sonically, it could have hit a bit harder, could have hit a little tad. It could have hit a little bit harder. With that being said, maybe there is like some clarity that could be added in some way to that drop. But again, outside of that, the mix was really good. Structure and pacing of the track were really good. I think the vocals and the song that the vocals are kind of carrying could be a little bit stronger, a little bit more infectious, a little hookier. Maybe work in, some room for a legit chorus of some sort. I feel like, the drop kind of supplemented, the need for a chorus in a way, at least, for the first segment of the track. Again, outside of that, I thought it was a good piece. Let me just check out the rest of your page over here. 43 monthly listeners. Oh my God. But you've got some other bops over here, it seems. I really do appreciate you passing me some recent stuff. I don't know if I explicitly said that before we started, but I do like the most recent material possible. So thank you. But keep up the good work. You're doing some good stuff over here. There was a lot of good flavor in that track, and look, it's like, in my opinion, not like the most perfect song I've ever heard, but, the thing is like, I think in a lot of EDM music across the board, there is sort of a lack of like good quality sound play and sound craft going on. And I get why, because, there's definitely like an emphasis on bringing the audience a certain kind of sound and a certain kind of vibe that, sort of like is in line with much of everything else that's going on in the scene. But, I really appreciate that you were able to kind of like bring the energy of that genre while still packing in like a really creative approach to sound. So, I feel like at least in that regard, you're ahead of the curve. You're ahead of where a lot of other, hey, thank you for the sub, where a lot of other artists are at currently in that lane. So, I think, get down to brass tacks with songwriting, especially if you're going to continue like featuring your own vocals in, your tracks and kind of making them a centerpiece of some sort. Get down to the brass tacks of that and, continue on with like the quality sound play and soundcraft that you're doing here. And again, the compositionally what you pulled off here, while, I would say, it wasn't the most stunning thing about the track. What was great about it is that I didn't really need to, work my brain too much to get my mind around it because, again, everything that you were doing in terms of like those synth arpeggios and everything was well layered and put together. So it didn't sound like it was at odds with itself. There was a lot going on, but it didn't sound like a clutter. And I greatly appreciate that about it. So thank you. Thank you very much for submitting. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here this evening on Twitch, and thank you everybody on YouTube for watching. Remember, once again, everybody we talked about in this segment, their stuff is linked down below, so you can check it out for yourself. Give them some more listeners. Give them some more monthly listeners, and we'll see you in the next one. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, a music forever.